Is man the cause of global warming? That's the big question. And there's so much confusion out there. You can't hardly read the newspaper in any one day until you see that somebody hyping it up, that we're the cause, we got to do something about it, et cetera, et cetera. So the question is, first of all, why should Christians even be interested in this issue? Why should we be interested in this? Well, Jesus is the creator. It's his world. And going back to Genesis, we find out that we're stewards of God's creation. We're to take care of the garden. We're to be interested if there's possibly a harm to the environment, we should be interested in it. Although we have dominion, we are to take care of his garden. But we need to gather the facts first. The Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it. We're responsible for our environment, to take care of the earth. So we should be interested in environmental issues and global warming. But we need to gather the facts first. Francis Schaeffer probably was a prophet on this issue back in 1970 in Pollution and the Death of Man. He said, the beginning of the Christian view of nature is the concept of creation. The Christian is a man who has a reason for dealing with each created thing with a high level of respect. The man who believes things are there only by chance cannot give things a real intrinsic value. If you believe in evolution, it all came about by chance, and we're animals, why should we be all that interested in the environment? But because God created it, we should be interested in it for that reason, as well as we live in it. I'll tell you, the confusion reigns in the culture. We're bombarded by climate predictions, the future, about increased carbon dioxide. It's claimed that there's a consensus among scientists that we are the cause of global warming. We need to act now before it's too late, before we have this huge disaster. If you hear Al Gore, he says this is probably the worst thing that's ever happened to mankind, this global warming. And of course, people do the craziest thing. A woman the other day aborted her baby to reduce her carbon footprint. And then you hear statements like this. A science advisor to the UK government foresees the Antarctic as the only habitable continent by century's end. And taking a North Polar view, a prominent environmental scientist suggests that all of humanity will be reduced to a few Arctic breeding pairs. I mean, the exaggeration on this issue is pathetic. In Science, just recently, William Ruderman says this, a well-known environmental spokesman warns that future sea level rise will drown much of creation. That sounds like about a 3,000-foot rise of sea level. Oh, you'd be safe here in Denver. There was a video on the greenhouse warming shown to public schools, and it was reviewed in Journal of Atmospheric Science. And one of the things the video said, it said that the temperature will rise 55 degrees Fahrenheit by the year 2050. A 55-degree temperature increase. I mean, I've had letters to the editor where they said that global warming is going to be increasing 30 degrees. Things like, or it has increased 30 degrees. You hear all kinds of things. If you want to be able to head off a few trillions of dollars of damage per year a few decades out, says glaciologist Richard Alley, you better act now. He's saying the damage in the future is going to be trillions of dollars, so we got to start now. But they don't tell you how much it's going to cost now to do it, which I'll say something about that soon. And of course, Al Gore, how many have seen The Inconvenient Truth? Not too many of you. I've not only seen the DVD about 3 or 4 times, but I've read the book once. In fact, I can stop it every minute and point out the exaggerations in it. Anyway, here's one of the more egregious exaggeration. We are destabilizing the massive mound of ice on Greenland and the equally enormous mass of ice propped up on top of islands in West Antarctica threatened a worldwide increase in sea levels by as much as 20 feet. He's one of the few radical environmentalists that would say this. I'll call them radical environmentalists. I feel like I'm an environmentalist, but the radical environmentalists want it their way only, and they don't listen to the other side or the reason it seems like to me, and they just, I don't know where they get some of their ideas. Anyway, it's from this book, An Inconvenient Truth, which is a book of propaganda. Propaganda is where they use deception and the twisting of arguments to give a one-sided argument, and this would qualify as propaganda. Of course, you see all kinds of things in the news like this, Newsweek, the hot zone, blizzards, floods, and hurricanes. Blame it all on global warming. Blizzards. By the way, something just came out saying that hurricanes, tornadoes, severe weather have not changed because of global warming at all. There has not been any significant change. This is something I just read on the internet here just a few days ago. So you can't prove any of these sorts of things. U.S. News and World Report. Scary weather. Scientists issue a startling forecast of global climate change. National Geographic. Global warming. Bulletin from a warmer world. Time. Be worried. Be very worried. And then they have about a 25-page spread about global warming. Of course, the polar bear is kind of the canary in a coal mine for global warming, they think. What should we do? We should apply, I believe, 1 Thessalonians 5:21. Now, this is what I do in creation research. I've been involved in creation research for about 35 years. So I apply 1 Thessalonians 5:21. I gather the facts. I try to be objective in gathering the data first. And I try to sift the real hardcore data from the interpretations of the data. We should always beware of bias. And we should be objective as possible when we analyze what's out there. That might be hard, but the evidence is out there for what I'm going to say. You can go into the research journals and find it. Here's 1 Thessalonians 5:21, my theme verse for all research. Examine every